Greetings and salutations, and welcome back once again to Borodino, or the end of it. So we are looking at the situation. We're doing the overview, so let's see how bad it was. So over here I can see that he just had these hussars sitting here. Had I known that, I would have probably launched my Cossacks at him, but there's the 5th Hussars, Subrever, Pajol, Sebastiani, Anonymous. Yeah, you can see the who's this? Kanowitz's 18th Division. So, for example, had I known that there was also nothing guarding here, I would have charged these lot into them. But, again, I couldn't see that. So, looking along here, the Poles are, quote, fairly intact, but pretty battered as well. I mean, look at this unit of the Poles, the 3rd Battalion of the 8th. That's less than 50% strength. So Poniatowski did get pretty badly mauled. Who else have we got? So who was this? This was Morand. Yeah, so this is Morand. We also had 1st Corps Cavalry. So the 1st Corps Cavalry and Morand's division here, along with France's 2nd Division. So there were 2 divisions there, plus a Polish division. Over here we had another Polish division of Poniatowski, who is there. We have Latour Marbourg's Reserve Cavalry Corps, and we have Polish Uhlans. Yeah, there's the Garde du Corps, the Zarastros, and the 14th Polish Cuirassiers. More Poles, although they're pretty battered, especially that one. He does have going back along here, we have Westphalian Cuirassiers. I thought they were the Westphalians. And I was correct at recognising the Zarastros and the Garde du Corps. Who have we got here? Artillery moving up, so we have Gudin and Desailly's divisions. The 7th Cuirassier Division. The 4th Light Cavalry Division. Going further along, we have Kraski with the with the Polish Lancers. We have General Colbert with the Red Lancers. We have the Gendarmes, the Mamelukes, and the Old Guard Chasseurs à Cheval with Guiot, and there's Marshal Bessières. You got the Empress Dragoons, Grenadier à Cheval, more Empress Dragoons. Portuguese Legion. I was correct in my citing of what they were. 5th Bavarians. They're not Bavarians, are they? They're just the 5th Lancers. Dupe. How badly battered was Thoreau's division? Yeah, the Westphalians were pretty battered. With quite a bit of routing. Here you've got the Grand Battery of the French. A++ quality. You can tell why they were taking a toll on me. Because you got, well, 12 pounders, 8 pounders, A++, 8 pounders, 8 pounders, more 12 pounders, plus the old guard horse artillery, among others. 8 pounders, 8 pounders, 6 pounders, some Prussian artillery. Who do we have here? We have, there's Junot himself, Westphalian Hussars. Back here we have Vautier with more of the heavy cavalry, including the Carabineers. So that's Montbrun's cavalry corps. Who else? Fusilier Grenadiers. So, yep, Young Guard. So, as I said, there's the Young Guard. There's the Vistula Legion. Where is their general? Oh, Rouget was back here, interestingly. Rouget was back there. Back here we have Marshal Lefebvre. And obviously the Old Guard and the Middle Guard. The Neuchâtel Artillery and the Neuchâtel Battalion. And the 1st and 2nd Baden-Ebergross. There's Napoleon himself. There's Motier. Who was coming up? Just more supply wagons. Who's that? That's Montbrun. Here you have Marshal Murat. I didn't realise that what he had here was so thin. Which is rather interesting. There's Marshal Ney. Ah, yeah, so chunks of Marshal Ney were actually helping up here. And then the rest of him was spread out along. So there's the 4th line. You got the 18th. Behind here you had Converged Line, Converged Lights, Converged Line. Yeah, all the converged units with Marchand. You had these cavalry, which belonged to Vollenraff's division. 50% of them are gone. And then most of that is gone. But then they're just 4 pounders. Looking further along, we have got the Croatians, who were driven back. Well, not driven back, but a lot of the French line up here was pretty badly routed. Seventh Hussars and 9th Chasseurs. Pire with the 8th Hussars, 16th Chasseurs. Where's the rest of his 8th Hussars? Oh no, they're just in one unit. Who we got here? Almaras with Rousier. Polish Ulan. Bavarian Chevauleger. Bavarian Chevauleger. The Honor Guard. 1st Company of the 1st. 9th Cuirassier. 6th Cuirassier. 2nd with Saint-Germain. There's Nansouty. Here you have Grouchy with his cavalry. And then you've got Prince Eugene here as well. Looking at the guns, I did pretty badly maul that artillery battery. That one's untouched. Untouched, and lost a single gun. That one is pretty much wiped out. These two, again, pretty much wiped out for the most part. 3 guns, horse guns. What I got? 12th Langrat, 12th Cuirassier. I definitely think I have done better, as my opponent said to me. I've definitely done better than I give myself credit for. But again, I have made quite a few mistakes, and I think they just sort of layered on top of each other, and therefore had a cumulative effect. So, but as you can see, he really was pushing at this point. But I was not going down without a fight. I mean, I suppose the guard, but with the arrival of the guard, I might have been able to do something, but that is very debatable. Because between the arrival of these 2100 and then the arrival of about the... how big is the guard? For me, anyway. Guard. I suppose it would have given me the arrival of 10,000 men, so... So, about 12,000 men arriving wouldn't be insignificant. And we both technically have forces that haven't been committed. For example, he hasn't committed the Italian Guard, for example. He hasn't committed the Italian Guard. He hasn't committed the Old Guard. Most of Ney hasn't been committed. Montbrun hasn't been committed. Matter of fact, he hasn't actually, quote, committed any of the Guard. They're just moving forward. Up here we got... They're all fairly intact, all things considered. They're all running. who we got here? Thoreau. Still, my line, definitely did better than I give myself credit for. '72nd and 129th. It also should be noted that at Borodino, French battalion sizes are pretty small, all things considered. Partly because of the marching, all the marching over the summer, and the Battle of Smolensk, for example, the various battles over the summer as well. So, such as Smolensk. Huh, that's rather interesting. Again, it shows you the value of reconnaissance, because I didn't realise how thin he was down here. Had I known, I would have definitely thrown Platov forward, recaptured the old Moscow road, and probably just driven straight for Utitsa and the Utitsa Mound, and just go on a rampage. They wouldn't achieve much, but they would be a good distraction, if nothing else. Likewise, I would have charged here and overrun these guns, or at least fairly chop them up. Here, the Poles are fairly tired, all things considered. Well, they're not, but some of their units are very tired. There's Grandot, but France division and Moran's division, between the two of them, they're pretty not, I wouldn't say tired, but they've had a good kick-in places. But again, with my centre just collapsing and falling to pieces, as my opponent said, I might have been able. I wasn't going to turn it around, but I might have been. He was likely to get a major victory between probably about tomorrow. So he probably wouldn't achieve it today on these turns on the 6th, but on the 7th he very much would. It would just be a case of how much damage could I do. And honestly, I'm not entirely sure how much I could do. Between various factors. Donzelon's division. Who are you part of? You. Bruyères, there we go. For example, I would have again charged here and gone on to just try and cause some mayhem with these Cossacks. Down here I would have looked to have destroyed the 9th Hussars with my overwhelming amount of Cossacks down here. In the centre, I have no idea what I would do, given it is so messy. But just roughly speaking, I would have looked to have formed the guard up here, up and along here, brought up the various cavalry that I could, and look to make use of them in trying to break the French assault. All things considered, it's been a very good learning experience for me. As always, for example, one lesson I've learned, the value of taking losses to hold important ground. So, for example, I would have just held on along the river and just accepted the losses to hold it. Same with these woods. I should have just accepted the loss of the woods and falled back up here. And just used this as my line. Still, all things considered, that could have gone considerably worse. It could have obviously gone considerably better, but it could have gone considerably worse. Who are you? Your first corps, which would be Davout. So yeah, Davout, for example, you can see just how spread out Davout is. 2 divisions over here, and at least, what? 2... He's got 3 divisions on this side. So, Dessax, Gudin, and Compans. And Davout's corps is probably one of the strongest at Borodino. Ney's corps is pretty small, pretty battered. And Juno's corps is Westphalians, so not necessarily the best. Still, that was a very informative game for me, once again. And my hats off to my extremely good opponent once again. So, remember, getting your face punched in can be very informative. And in this case, I've been taught several more lessons. So, I'm definitely getting better, I would say. So one of these days you might get a good performance for me in the videos. So for now, I thank you all for watching this overview of Borodino. I apologise if it was not the most entertaining to see me getting my face punched. But again, as my opponent said, I did better than I give myself credit for. So, there is that. So we shall see. Still, for now, I thank you all for watching. I hope you have enjoyed once again. And until next time, this has been the Borodino series coming to an end. So I thank you once again, and I will see you all very soon. So until then, bye bye for now.